Crucial to bring in people to the dialogue about new narratives for Europe. And perhaps ICT tools are ideal for a wide engagement of public in the discussion about what are the narratives, what are the stories that connect us. So here in the workshop, we would like to explore, first of all, how different how we can, or the ICT and art can help us elicit narratives, how can make them people participate in constructing narratives, and telling their narratives for Europe. We are used to democracy by vote, but you vote on already existing alternatives. I think that now we've moved beyond this, and we want to be able not only to vote and to choose, but to create the future, to create the alternatives. And I think this is the question, how can we use technology to create the alternative between which we can then choose?
Yeah, we need to empower ourselves.
Yeah, it's like the notion of the deliberative democracy, that you can really discuss and you can really influence each day the power. But there is idea of a participative budget. Budget also.
Artists create emotional
For
values.
me, yeah, it's exactly. It's communication. I think for me, the place for art is definitely communication. If you want to change the world in certain aspects, then communication is a very important thing. So this participatory, this kind of communicative nature is very important. This is where art can help. Can we have better ways that are informed by art, that can actually be inspired by art, to help us in this process, which is very important.
You have that what you do, it goes beyond just communication, and you kind of abstract from narratives and you synthesize in a very abstract way. But for example, you show a person in the background or the network of this person, right? And so I think that very important thing about communication is that people often don't understand the message. People don't process it fully.
Involves pictures of people with their data networks.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic.
Yes, what I was talking to you about was that it's not only about the visuals and the pictures of people, there are also narratives and perhaps context. So I was interested in just the way that we're all working now. And I started this a few years ago when it was perhaps even newer. And I was just interested in so many people that I knew who were working on their own, maybe working as freelancers or maybe starting very small companies. And I thought a lot of people were working quite new ways and there were new possibilities. So I think one of my sort of challenges, how do I show this work to really show those contexts? So for instance, this girl here, she set up on her own, or perhaps with others, an ethical fashion network. And she actually works in a tiny village, actually really deprived, run-down village. I mean, it's near Edinburgh, but it's on the other side of the river. So I was just interested in that combination of isolation and togetherness and connectedness. So there's lots of positives there. There's also, I think, challenging and difficult things. So at its simplest, this guy here, he's actually a burlesque dancer. And he said, and also there were some quite good quotes that came up. So he said to me, I owe my career to Facebook. So he's a performer, and that's perhaps this mask. It maybe says something about identity online, but he uses it in his performance.
Data collection, narratives and stories.
The collection.
And the output can be, sound and visual outputs, and we can decide what they are. So we've got input and output, I suppose. Input is this.
How can
ICT and art act together to involve people in storytelling. So first of all, how to create situations that people will create a story, and then also how to create a situation that people will listen to a story. So the question is, what is the role of art? Well, first of all, how art can translate narratives into an artistic expression. Then, how you can abstract themes from the stories. Then, how do you integrate narratives for the future, like for example in creating a roadmap for the future. So basically how can you integrate individual stories of people into a vision of a common future. I think that also art can be used to present a disintegration of the narrative, not only integration but also disintegration, right? So whatever we do about narratives for Europe, it's very important to include the shadow narratives into the mainstream. So I want to discuss some ways of using ICT and how we can do it, and this is just a summary of the 2 days of the workshop. So first of all, what we can do, we can create web-based repository of narratives, and we can collect narratives directly, for example, in a web-based questionnaire blog, or through group discussions that are recorded and then shared on the web. ICT is used to integrate many diverse individual narratives into your stories, into narratives. Well, artists use people's stories to construct artistic narratives.
I'm mainly interested in how we can use technology in very informal manner. I'm interested in how architecture can be built without architects, and how technology can help creating urban strategies and integrating this kind of shadow narratives. So how we can absorb this linguistical analysis into the physical context.